Hello, my biddies. How are you today? Okay, a little better than yesterday, at least. A little early for once. Don't mind me, I'm a goof. Oh, what y'all up to? My evening was wasted. I started doing something and then realized that I did it completely wrong. So I have to go back and do it again today. Yay. I'm doing a project. I'm doing a project for vacations. So yeah, it's loads fun. I'm basically just doing a spreadsheet, but it's info on it. Lots of infos on it. I have one picked out that I kind of like. I'm sure I could pick out another one too. I probably will. But anyway, yeah, I do think I need a week off. I'm kind of burnt. Kind of burnt. You ever get burnt at work? This doesn't really work. This is a hobby, but same concept. It takes a lot of time. um, oh, excuse me. My goodness. I forgot to buy lunch for today. Sorry, I have hairs. On my shirt, which came out of the dryer like that. Uh, I forgot to buy me a proper lunch today. Forgot to buy it yesterday. That was dumb because I are dumb. I thought I did, but I didn't. I also thought I put the laundry in the dryer, but I didn't. Um, so anyway, I had fries and I just had fries, but I made fry sauce and it was really good, you guys. It was so good. Do you ever just make up your own concoctions of stuff? Also, fries and tartar sauce is really good. I know you dip stuff, fries and shakes and other stuff, but my little concoction was Miracle Whip because we have to have that tangy zip in our house. So it was about 2 tablespoons, I would say, of Miracle Whip, a couple tablespoons or a little bit more maybe of ketchup because you got to have your ketchup with fries, right? Maybe a tablespoon of mustard and a tablespoon of um, Thousand Island dressing. I've made it multiple times without Thousand Island dressing. And I'm telling you, the Thousand Island dressing made all the difference. It was so good, you guys. So good. You should try it. Go try my little recipe. Um, Anybody got anything to say? No? Anyway, I hope everybody's having a good day. It's sunny outside, so maybe it'll be a little warm. It's colder though. Yesterday it was warm outside and cold in the house, and now it's going to be cold outside and warm in the house. It makes no sense at all. None whatsoever. Oh, what else? I think that's it for now. I don't have a rant about ICE today, except that they're in all the airports and apparently aren't doing anything but handing out water occasionally. Since when do you get free water at the airport like that? It's so weird. They're just standing around. What help are they when they're just standing around? They don't even have uniforms, which I find extremely strange. T, you should have uniforms. It's ridiculous. What other government entity doesn't have uniforms? Like a government entity that works with the public, that, not an office. Like postal workers have uniforms. Secret Service has uniforms. I mean, they're suits, but they're still uniforms. Still have to dress a certain way unless you're undercover. ICE is not undercover. Police have uniforms. Military has uniforms. Why are there uniforms? They especially need uniforms. They're really mad though because people are taking pictures of them, and they can't wear masks. So that's funny. What else? I think that's all I got. I'm sorry, I'm boring today. Probably boring most days. That's okay. So we have our uh bad review, like our bad reviews. This one is also from Acadia, and it's entitled "Disappointing RVers." The ocean views were beautiful, and Sand Beach Park Loop Road. The rest of the park was extremely RV unfriendly. We are traveling in a 30-foot Class C RV, and I took pictures out my windows as my husband drove, enjoying none of it. This is why we didn't drive up Mount Rainier. Small turnoff areas, crazy crowds, absolutely nowhere for us to pull off and enjoy. Oh, you poor thing. We traveled along the way with two large dogs along our route on our trip, so shuttle was the question. Maybe don't travel with dogs? I was looking forward to this part of our trip and left very disappointed. Going to Adirondacks, New York instead. Don't bother, not worth the headaches. What headaches? You didn't have any headaches. You were not able to park. Poor you. in your giant in your giant RV. Too bad, so sad. Maybe try a car next time. Oh, there's not gonna be a next time. She's not coming back to that. Dang it, I forgot my drink again. uh oh, I forgot to take my pills too. That's nice. So I'll wait half an hour and then I'll go. Yeah, half an hour. First we have traumatized them back, and my entitled "My Mother Thought I Was Trying to Avoid Studying was Being a Bitch on Purpose." Well, I wasn't. There are two stories about my mother being judgmental regarding my symptoms, and here they go. When I was 20 female, I was in the eighth grade, and there was a high school entrance exam that I was going to take in June. The whole year was horrible for me, apart from being severely depressed. Whenever I sat down to study, I was hit with unbearable headache. Well, that's a problem. I would be taking my kid to the hospital. Not to the hospital, but definitely to the doctor. I told my mother, 48 female now, several times. She just told me that I was making excuses not to study. There were 2 weeks until the exam. My sister had her yearly eye exam. My mother said, "Let's get one too." The doctor examined me and said, "Do you ever experience headaches?" And I said, "Yeah, whenever I try to read something." He looked at me and said, "Well, that's because you're myopic in one eye and I have clear vision in the other. It confuses your brain, which causes headaches." So I couldn't take her to the eye doctor when she first asked about the head or first complained about the headaches. My mom was silent as heck, avoiding all contact. This led me to getting glasses, and if you ever had glasses, you know the first 2 weeks are horrible. Well, I scored well on the exam and got into a good high school. My mother never said anything about my headaches again. Fast forward to the first year of college, I started to drink a lot of water and was constantly going to the bathroom. I was also craving a lot of sugary drinks, was not able to sleep at night due to being so thirsty, and I had to pee all the time. That sounds like diabetes. Also, my vision was blurry and I had constant headaches. I was tired all the time. Apart from those, I was angry at everything. I was angry at almost everything anyone did. I know nothing gives me an excuse to be bitchy, but the story will clear up. I told my mother that we should go to the doctor since I've constantly felt like I was going to faint and was not able to put up with these symptoms anymore. You shouldn't have to go to your mom for that. You're an adult in college now. Colleges usually have at least a clinic on site that you can go to that's for the students, at least in the US. Enraged from a previous fight with me, that I was fine. She said I was just seeking attention and was being a bitch on purpose. Anyway, we ended up going to the doctor after a week. I had blood tests and boom, my sugar was 347 with my HbA1c being 9.6. I don't know what the HbA1c is exactly. I was type 1 diabetic. I would have to be hospitalized. So that's type 1 is inherited. And she's in college and they're just not figuring this out. That's kind of strange. My doctor told me that these rage outbursts were caused by this since high blood sugar can make you really irritable and angry. My mom was silent again, shocked by the news, and we just left the hospital quickly to get some insulin. It's safe to say my mom never takes my complaints lightly anymore. Okay, Law says, quoted that safe to say my mom never takes my complaints lightly anymore. Too bad you had to almost die for that to happen. Yeah, this mother sounds terrible. Willow Violet says, I was half expecting you to tell your mother tell us your mom's a nurse. So true. My sister's a nurse. Nurses are kind of notorious for not taking their family's medical complaints seriously, since unless they are bleeding profusely or have a broken bone poking out. I'm a nurse. I hear all the stories. My sweet Adrena says, seriously, same. I was the kid who got colds and bronchitis all the time, wheezing when sick, etc. Just stay hydrated, take medicine. Turns out I have freaking asthma. Luckily, I never had a severe attack in those days. I have ankles that sometimes click when I walk from constant sprains, and one badly healed fracture that went unchecked. My serious, seriously painful periods were never dealt with until I was an adult. But I had endometriosis, and maybe something could have been done earlier to help me function better. My mom is a nurse. It's like the person with the worst car in the lot's usually the car auto repairman. Verby says, huh, your symptoms in the second part sound familiar. Maybe I should go to the doctor. You should definitely go to the doctor. Musketeers Plus says, please do. People think that type 1 diabetes is just a juvenile onset thing, and it's not. Your pancreas can shut down at any age. That boy, that thing says, yep, there seems to be an uptick of people having onset, seemingly triggered by COVID. Oh, that's not good. Better safe than sorry and get checked. Musketeers answers again. I work with diabetes dietitians, and you're right that they saw an uptick with COVID. Studies are underway to confirm it, but good ones take time. That's true too. Uh, I learned I learned so much for them. I try to pass it on. So if you're having those symptoms, go get checked for COVID. Next, we have What Should I Do? And it is entitled Brother Wants Me to Cover Entire Rent Since I Get Free Money. Who gets free money? Nobody gets free money. My brother and I have been living together for nearly 4 years. We rent a two-bedroom, two-bath apartment. I'm a U.S. Army veteran who gets monthly compensation from the VA. When we first moved in, I was rated 80% and both work full time. To help my brother out, we agreed to a 60-40 split of the rent, with me getting the master bedroom as a bonus. That's all this should be done. Over the next few years, I got a higher paying job and was increased to 90% after several appeals. Once my brother found out, he asked if we could go to 70-30 on the rent. No, but I agreed to now cover the utility bills. Well, now I currently have an appeal, and if that granted, it will push me to 100%. Any veteran will tell you that this is a huge deal, which can fully provide for me. Well, now my brother says if I get 100%, I should just pay for the entire rent. He reasons that if I'm getting 4K a month in government money, then that is more than enough to cover the rent for both of us, so we are free to save our money. I think you should not live with your brother anymore. He seems like a moocher. No, you should be paying at least s- some kind of split, if not 50-50. Um, yeah, it's not your fault you make more money. Maybe he should get a better job. I don't feel like this is a good deal, but despite my argument, my whole family is rallying behind my brother, saying how I should take on entire rent because, if I can, because family looks out for each other. While I love my family, I still feel like this is unfair. My uncle says that if he had the benefits I had, then he wouldn't hesitate to cover rent. Well, he says that, but when push comes to shove, is he going to mean it? Doubtful. Doubtful. Fearing this issue may get nasty, I took advice from a fellow veteran who said I should just lie and say I got denied, or even better, say I got reduced. So now I'm getting less. It's a good idea. However, knowing my family, they're going to want to see proof of my denial or reduction in benefits. if that's what happens. Well, somebody could fake that for you, probably. What should I do? And telling my brother to move out to invite a different roommate is going to end with the entire family coming after me even harder. This has more to do with our family and cultural expectations, so the idea of kicking my brother out would be viewed as the same as leaving living your 10-year-old out because they won't get a job. That makes no sense. So, update, someone suggested I can edit or Photoshop a letter saying I'm being reduced. As much as this would hurt me to lie, what does everybody think about this idea? Any resources or vet there that know what I can do? You move out. You move out, let him have the apartment. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to one bedroom. I can't stand having a roommate anymore, especially not a leecher. Next, he's going to want you to pay for his car and his food and everything else. Bopper Bopper says if I'm going to pay 100% of the rent, I don't need a roommate. Exactly. I'm going to use that room for my office. uh, Repeller Mouse says exactly. You deserve to have the space to move in a partner if you wish. I don't see fibbing working out. You have every right not to get this BS. It's not, I'd bet, like your brother would support you forever, but in fact, they are taking this path doesn't bode well for them letting you live, and there would be constant fear of discovery that you don't deserve to have to put up with. But I do think that could say the decision is ongoing. It's not over until it's over. Be a broken record saying the same few words over and over. The goal is to bore them. It can only work if you refuse to engage. A bit of extra information will be jumped on like water in the desert. Even negativity rewards them. Boring doesn't, but it takes it takes a while to work. By the way, if your brother wants to re-up in the military until he has suffered what you did, then maybe his contribution should be said to finally have started approaching yours. But I hope you don't engage. I hope you broken record them into tears of boredom. Also, it's also called gray rocking. You just don't engage. You earned your piece 1,000 times over. Shame them. Shame on them for trying to get you out of everything. Best of luck. VA groups might truly understand. I'm sorry you're going through this. You deserve better. Second top comment is from Atchison Metal, who sounds like a business. Is he using his business account? The logic actually doesn't hold up. Most roommates don't know what others make. Everyone just pays a fair share. Stand strong. Let them say the 40-60 stays, or you're going to go 50-50. And stop telling your family your business that brings these battles. Yes. Better Park answers, yes, I honestly can't believe OP shared all this with him. Like he isn't already the kind of person to take advantage. Yeah, why are you telling them all of your business? Like, keep it to yourself. They don't need to know. Common Tiger says, so you would be covering 100% of the rent and utilities. What exactly is he bringing to this living arrangement that makes you want to keep living with him? If you're already paying all the rent and utilities, you might as well live alone and have lower utility bills. I didn't eat soon enough. Um, Never Safe for Life says, yeah, OP, look at the pattern, not just this instance. How long until your brother asks you to cover the next thing and then the next? That's what I said. All right, I'm going to go real quick and take some pills and get my drink and all of that fun stuff that I forgot to do because I don't have a brain. right, I'm back. Sorry about that. I'm a bad person. All right. Next we have malicious compliance, and it's entitled, "If you won't ship to me because my drive is less than an hour, then I'll make it in an hour." I work from home for a company that makes software for mobile devices. Of course, a lot of the work I do requires having the physical device. If I need a specific one, I put in a request and they ship it to me. However, recently one of my requests to ship it was denied, and I was told I would go have to pick it up. The reasoning: I live within an hour of the office, so I'm expected to come in and get them myself. The problem is, if you look up the drive on Google Maps, it does take under an hour, barely. But if you look it up at like 2 in the afternoon or in the middle of the night when no one is driving, if you look it up during normal commute time, it's never less than that. I'm writing this at 7 a.m. and it's 1:50. It's at an hour and 15 minutes. In the 30 to 45 minutes, it's going to be even worse. So just charge them for the time. Plus, uh, they'd have to pay you for your travel expenses also. If I'm leaving the house for more than 2 hours, I'm eating something. I asked if I could just pay for shipping it myself since it would be cheaper for me to do that than pay for gas and parking. Nope, got to come in. So now I come in, I take lunch, and then head in at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I get what I need and immediately leave. It takes me just under 2 hours total because I'm only running in for a few minutes. I can leave the car in the front of the building and not have to buy parking. 2 hours that I would normally would spend working, now I'm spending it in my car. For some reason, now I'm back on the approved list for shipping. And the vast majority of comments seem to be about my. On paper, I'm hybrid, not remote, and the site pickup is the site office I'm based out of, so it's a normal commute. I'd never been required to travel to another site. Needles of Gold says, a phrase comes to mind: penny wise and pound foolish. There's a lot of that going around. Purple Muskogee says, when working at a university in the UK, we had a lecturer who was normally based in France but would come for 2 to 3 weeks to the UK to deliver his lectures. The university would pay for his transport to and from the campus, so a plane ticket or the Eurostar, whichever was cheapest, and his accommodation in a cheap hotel near the campus. The policy was they would not pay for his accommodations during the weekend since he was not working. He kept asking them if they would make an exception and showed them it was cheaper for them to pay for the hotel on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday rather than his transport back to his flat in France. And he was happy to sit in the UK. They just wouldn't do it, even though they were spending more to send him back home every weekend. Why would you do that? Punk Walrus answers, I work for a U.S. company that had an employee from Hamburg. They flew in about once a month for a week at a time. He was essentially for our German operations at the time. We underwent some reorgs, and the new manager said it was too expensive, and that had to stop. She brought him in the office and said he's not allowed to fly to Germany anymore, but I live there. She looked at him and said, well, not anymore. He says, my wife lives there. She said, you married a German? That's on you. The company will not pay to fly her here. He says, are you kidnapping me? And she says, no, we're just not sending you there anymore. He said, this will probably violate a lot of international laws. He said, what are you talking? She said, what are you talking about? Wait, are you a German citizen? He says, yes. She said, you have no visa paperwork. She says, I work for German partners who own this company operations in Frankfurt. I'm German, working for a German company, paid by a German company. I have an ESTA. I'm not sure what that means. It's probably some kind of visa. Oh, well, find your way back. We're not paying for your travel anymore. He appealed to some other management who paid him to fly back and then took that manager aside and put some sense into her. Wow, so much empty says, reminds me of that US-based Washington Post reporter sent to work at the front line of Ukraine, then got sacked and left there. Ooh, that happened when I was working at GM. They laid off they had a mass layoff, and one guy was literally in Arizona and lived in Michigan. They turned off his laptop and his phone, so he had nothing with him to communicate at all. Didn't have an email address anymore. It was not good. Couldn't get on campus there because his badge didn't work anymore. Line out the door where I worked of people laid off that couldn't get in because they hadn't told them. Yeah, it was fun. Actually, it was on a Tuesday, not a Monday, because Monday was a holiday. So they did it on a holiday weekend. Okay, next we have evil buildings. And here's our evil building for the day. Oops. It is Las Espaces de Braha, France. I can't pronounce French, so sorry, I'm sure I butchered that. It's very interesting. I don't know if it's really evil. Place was used as a location in the movies Hunger Games, Mockingjay 2 as part of the Capitol. Okay, it's evil now. Somebody said it's also used in Brazil. Spout said, I live nearby. Please don't go there. It's a huge drug dealing spot and you'll end up molested. See the TripAdvisor comments to get the mood. Sorry, in French, moleste means assaulted, but you get the idea. I mean, we got the idea. Jay Hatchell says, I would never guess that it's a housing project from pictures. I would have. It looked just like a house, just like apartments. Apparently, a lot of people want it demolished, but it's becoming iconic. Material promises, I don't know, it screams of housing project from the pictures. That it does. They are not wrong, as I like to say. Next, we have AITAH, and it's entitled AITEH for getting a woman fired over Veggie Tales. Oh, this sounds lovely. My husband and I, unfortunately, have our son in daycare. It's unavoidable. A few months ago, I picked him up, and when I asked him about his day, he told me about a show they watched with cartoon vegetables. When I dropped him off the next day, I asked the teacher if they watched Veggie Tales. She said they didn't show the kids anything inappropriate. That wasn't the question, ma'am. But I asked, but did they watch Veggie Tales? She refused to give me a straight answer. I said I don't want him watching Veggie Tales. She said he wasn't going to be allowed to watch anything inappropriate. That day I got home, I asked, did you watch Veggie Tales? He did. I emailed the administration. They assured me no Veggie Tales. It's not an approved media to show the kids. Good. It shouldn't be, because it's religious and not secular. It is never and never will be shown. The next week I asked, did you watch Veggie Tales? Yep. I reached out again and was told my son was confused. Right. So I waited a week. I asked my boss if I can leave early and walk past the receptionist. She told me to stop, but I didn't. Into the main room, and boom, there it is. Veggie Tales. I took a picture and was given a warning for barging in. Fair. But the administration promised that Veggie Tales would be solved. The teacher had to take all the tapes home, and she would not be able to bring tapes ever again. Why did she even have tapes from home there? Nothing that's not owned by the company should be in a daycare with little kids. Next week, did you watch Veggie Tales? No, Dad. Great. Following week, did you watch Veggie Tales? Yep. So I emailed again, and at this point, they're starting to get other people involved, the Anti-Veggie Tales Coalition. So even some of the Christian parents were annoyed. One woman watches it at home with her daughter and said she didn't want to watch it at daycare because if her daughter had questions, she wants to be asked, not the teacher. Great. Join the Anti-Veggie Tales Coalition. The resolution was that the teacher got fired. Now there's a backlash against me. People feel bad. They feel guilty. It's all my fault. I pressured them into making it a big deal. What did they think was going to happen? Like, this lady wasn't backing down. Or just animated vegetables. Even my wife said I pulled a knee and went on the warpath. Am I an a-hole, or should she have just left her animated vegetables at home? She should have left her animated vegetables at home. Nothing from home like that should be brought into a daycare. It's not approved. Only the stuff that the daycare owns is approved. Charming interest is the top comment, and they say NTA. They said your child wasn't watching VeggieTales, but the teacher showed it numerous times after you were told it wasn't being shown. If they would lie about that, what else are they lying about? 100%. Smelling like a fairy. What does a fairy smell like? I imagine they smell very delicious, like flowers and cookies. Flowers and fresh baked cookies. Maybe a cake or a pie. She clearly wasn't watching it with them, or she'd know lying is bad. Larry and Bob would be very disappointed in her. Charming Interest answered that I've never watched an episode. They came out when I was a teen, and I never showed them to my children for no other reason than I just didn't. But yes, most Christians, lying is very bad, and you shouldn't do it. I find that not to be true. They are very expedient about their lying. That's fine if they do it, but not anybody else. Teacher could even practice what she was trying to preach. Smelling like a fairy answered that. I grew up watching it. My family's kind of fundy light. All the crazy fundamentalist beliefs, but better at hiding it since they dress normal and don't have 20 kids. It was actually a pretty great show. The music was awesome. It was funny. The lessons were good. I don't consider myself a Christian, but I'll fangirl VeggieTales any day. And I still think it was wanged up that she lied about it. How ironic. I think I demand she play and watch the episode about lying before she showed them before she stopped showing them. I wonder if the voice actors do cameos. Someone should get them and tell her we literally talked about this. Next separated comment is from No Forever. Uh, and they say the fact that the teacher repeatedly lied to your face about what they're showing your kid is enough reason to get fired. Don't lie to parents. NTA. Galantame says between that and going against the daycare's policy. Yes, exactly. Their top creative comment is from Interesting, and it's entitled Aside from the argument about Veggie Tales, she was lying to parents about stuff involving their kids, unacceptable NTA. Beth said, sounds like she was lying to her bosses too. Orinda Sarnia says, I wonder if she's from Sarnia. Do you know where Sarnia is? It's in Canada. It's in Canada, right across from Port Huron, Michigan. If the daycare bosses aren't circulating around the rooms enough to know that VeggieTales is being routinely shown in class, then the program director should have been fired too. Yes. Somebody else should have been fired for sure. Next we have neighbor is calling me several times a day expecting me to replace the deceased previous owner. That's weird. Sorry, this is a long one. Context. Oh, I used letters. I hate letters. I hate that so bad. To a name, it's so much easier to keep track of things. Abby, Brenda, and Carol were all women in their late 80s and best friends. Should have picked older names, I guess. Abby passed away, and her adult son, who never left the home, inherited the house. Brenda passed away, and this is the house we've purchased and live in. Carol is our adjoining neighbor. Carol is lovely, but does come to the back of the house, letting herself into the garden by the back gate, as she's used to knocking via the back door, which is fine, although it can be a bit of a jump scare if I'm not paying attention to the windows. She will make comments about Brenda. Would hate that you have a cat in her house. Too bad, not her house anymore. It's my house now. Or she wouldn't like the color you're doing in the living room. Okay, Brenda not here, honey. Brenda don't care about nothing because Brenda not here no more. Again, not something I mind on its own, but it's adding to the other issues. D is the grown son of Abby. So D is going to be Derek because he's probably a jerk. Derek is the grown son of Abby, who is physically disabled and a wheelchair user. His driveway joins ours with the driving fence, dividing, I think you mean dividing fence removed long before we purchased. He has a broken down car blocking his drive and uses ours to navigate to his back door, the only accessible door. Well, that sounds like a problem to me. When we first moved in, his visitors would be sent to ours to asking us to move our car on set dates and times to allow his wheelchair to get past when the community ambulance comes to collect him. That's so weird. Which we happily obliged, though we're certain how we were parking left more than enough gap for this. In the interest of being good neighbors, though, we didn't question it. I would question it. Why can't they pick him up at his house? His visitors and carers also regularly park on our drive or block it completely, which again we have not questioned as it hasn't stopped us from leaving or getting back into our drive so far. About a week after we moved in, I was working from home and his carer knocked on and asked me to pop around as he wanted to meet properly and discuss the parking situation. As it was pretty much my lunch break, I obliged and went to visit. After entering, Derek told me about Abby, Brenda, and Carol all being friends and him replacing his mom's position in the group that look out for each other once she passed, whilst heavily implying I would now be replacing Brenda since we moved into her house. Derek also mentioned how things work on the street and essentially implied we need to do same things as Brenda in order to fit in and keep everyone happy. I'm sorry, I'm not Brenda. I'm not Brenda, and I'm going to do things at my house my way. He also went into quite gory details about his various health conditions and used a bedpan in full view whilst I was there. Yikes. Yikes. He also mentioned that he has a CCTV system monitoring the internal and external of his house and drive, with a view expanding onto our driveway. I explained this wasn't necessary. We were planning on our own ring system, but I think it fell on deaf ears. I also asked about the plans for his car, as I'd soon be returning to the office and wouldn't be available to keep moving our car several times a day, several times a week. I commute by train, and he said that's how it's always been with Brenda before, so he's not sure about what other workaround there is. What other workaround there is get rid of your dang car out of your driveway so you can go down the driveway to the bus that's picking you up. I again prompted him about the car in his drive, and he went on a tangent about his mechanic brother not helping him and didn't really give an indication of moving it. I said we leave at least a 4-meter gap between cars so he can get on our driveway to pass his car and back onto his drive before reaching our car, though he insisted it wasn't a big enough deal. We ended up swapping numbers so he could inform me in advance of the car needing to be moving, as it was the only solution he was comfortable with. Since giving my number to Derek, he has not stopped calling. I told you he was a jerk. I understand interaction is the price of community, but I'm getting several calls throughout the day, upwards of 5 and multiple times in a row if I don't answer. I would say leave me alone, and numerous voicemails. They're not about anything serious, mostly telling me about the different medications his doctor is trialing or his niece going on holiday. Dude, I am not your friend. It's become pretty stressful and hard to manage, particularly when I'm working full time. Change your number. Change your number. I let him know we were going on holiday for a week, and we've left enough of a gap that his wheelchair can get through, even though we've had our friend who uses a large motorized wheelchair test it, and it's absolutely more than enough room. Even on holiday, he called me several times, none of which I answered, and left several voicemails, most of which were just asking about the holiday and that we missed the bin collection Tuesday. Well, of course they did. They're on vacation. Hello. Tuesday, we got back from holiday. He called 10 times after we'd been dropped off, asking my husband and I to come around for a drink. I said, it's late, we're tired, we'll speak to him soon. My husband is a very shy man and previously left most of the neighboring to me, which I don't mind as I'm the people person in our relationship. He since realized that the mental toll of this constant contact is having and promised he'd take over any future calls. Wednesday, my husband called Derek to let him know a letter had accidentally been posted through ours and asked if he'd be available to drop it off. Derek said he's busy at the moment and will call back once he's free, which he didn't do that day. Today, my husband returned to work. I have the rest of the week off, and I went to make myself some breakfast, and the second I appeared in the kitchen window, my phone starts going off with calls from Derek, unanswered as I was busy unpacking and doing laundry. I looked up and he wasn't in his window, so I'm convinced the CCTV looks through his window through ours, which should not happen. That's, at least in the States, that's literally illegal. They face each other. And he's waited until I was alone to call. I checked with my husband, and Derek didn't try to contact him, which convinced me further. My husband is going to speak to him after night. As I'm torn up as I have sympathy for this man who is clearly quite lonely, but the constant calls, which are sometimes every day, or at least every other day, are getting really stressful, and I'm starting to think that they are not as innocent as I first thought. Since he doesn't try and call my husband at all, or doesn't ramble on when my husband isn't the one speaking to him, I feel like the car situation is getting ridiculous. He's just using it as an excuse to call when he should be focusing on clearing his own driveway. 100%. I tried broaching it with A, but she also see Abby. But she also seems to believe we should be filling Brenda's position and continuing their route or status quo. But how do I deal with this? I'm keen on to avoid upsetting the elderly and disabled neighbors, but I don't want to start any wars. But it's tiring getting so many pointless calls, and being told, uh, Brenda didn't do this, therefore you should act the same. We're mindful and quiet neighbors, but this seems to be doesn't seem to be enough, and I'm at my wits' end. Noctivessa says you're not Brenda's replacement. You're not part of the original trio. You didn't move into her house. You bought it. The fantasy that you inherited her role along with the deed is convenient for them and suffocating for you. Derek is using the car situation as a tether because it worked on Brenda, and he's banking on your guilt to keep you hooked. He doesn't call your husband because your husband doesn't perform obligation the way you do. You don't have to be cruel, but you do have to be clear, and we're happy to be friendly neighbors, but we can't be Brenda's replacement. We need to set boundaries that work for our lives, and that's all in quotes. Then stop answering every single time. Let him leave voicemails. You're not his social worker, his family, or his emotional support system. You're the person who lives next door. OP answers, I think you've summarized it perfectly. Going to try the we're not your emotional support, but we're happy to be friendly. Fine line later. Thanks. Willow's Quest answered her. Um, I would also tell him to point his cameras away from your property and invest in some curtains. Being able to watch you from his CCTV to know how to call you specifically is weird and invasive of your privacy. Yes, and could also be illegal. There's a level of sympathy for when you support network starts dwindling. But he absolutely needs to understand that just because he had a super lenient relationship with the previous ladies doesn't mean he can assume the same of you. I don't know if he's a creep, but at the very least, I would bet he's more comfortable addressing you instead of your husband because he's used to gaggle little old ladies being maternal, maternalistic pushovers from the generation of you listen to your husband and says what your husband says and cater to his wants, and it's hoping you'll be the same. He also definitely is avoiding taking accountability for his busted car on purpose because it's easier for him to just keep it using your driveway. So you need to start making it less convenient and actually motivate him to take some initiative. Him and his caretakers will gripe and groan and call you names, but tell them but you need your driveway and his would be perfect serviceable if the junker wasn't in the way. Change is hard when you've probably lived the same house for 50 or 60 years. But change is life, and they're going to have to deal with it sooner or later. 100%. What if somebody not as nice moved in? They'd already have that deal dealt with. Next, we have the subreddit Benign Existence, and it is entitled American Tourists Were Charming. Shocker. I'm Irish and I live in Dublin. It's absolutely teeming with Americans most days. Today after work, I took myself for a pint at a local pub. It's very popular among Americans, but also very comfortable for locals. A very American man and his younger daughter, niece, and granddaughter sat beside me with two Irish family members. Very quickly, the old man knocked over a pint and I helped clean them up. The man immediately thanked me and complimented me on my shoes. He also invited me to dinner. I politely declined. Eavesdropping informed me that he's a major liberal with very modern views on abortion, women's rights, and gay rights. Well, so he's a nice American. They got up to leave and he came over and shook my hand. He told me he comes over every February for some event and has been coming for 35 years. He was so kind, I'm glad I met him. Edit, this blew up and I'm honestly terribly fond of most Americans. I don't think you're all bad. And we don't think all Irish are drunk. Stalwart Lucretia says, as an American who's been lots of places in Europe, I must say that the Irish stand out in my memory as some of the kindest, warmest, most generous people I've ever encountered as a tourist. It's a beautiful place to visit that's made so much more special by the people. I know I'm not the only American to have figured this out. I'm sure it contributes to the volume of tourists you get. So thanks for putting up with us and making our visits great. Impedimenta is the second most top-rated comment, and they say, "My favorite interaction in Ireland was when an older woman heard my accent and said, 'Excuse me, are you here to connect with some long-lost heritage?' Me, no, her, great. Pull up a chair, dear. Let's have some drinks." It's funny. It's really funny. Um, Second of Cicero says, is the third top-rated comment saying, "Thank you for being kind yourself. It means a lot and goes a long way." Exactly. Next, we have found Satan. As it with it, will the real Satan please stand up? This is Ashi. It finally happened. The flight attendant asked, "Is there a doctor on this flight?" And I looked up and said, "Yes." Did a tracheotomy at 30,000 feet with a razor blade and ballpoint pen. He didn't make it, but the thrill was undeniable. Thinking of going to doctor school now? Oh, good Lord. Yeah, don't do that, people. Don't do that. Pale Independent says, "I've actually done an emergency tracheotomy twice. Both times I had to wait to see if I was going to be prosecuted or not." Right in there asked, "Did both of the patients survive?" And Pale Independent says, "Yes." Sorry, this is weird. Oh, okay. People complaining about laws and crap. Sir Scott says, "My PhD in physics didn't include a surgery rotation either." Ing, Ing Vegas says, "Going to doctor school makes it exponentially funnier." Next, we have the Just No Mel subreddit. When your mother in law insists to your daughter that you've taught her to set boundaries. Sorry, I said that wrong. It's entitled When Your Mother in Law Insists to Your Daughter and You've Taught Her to Set Boundaries. It was my husband's sister's birthday. So, your sister in law's birthday. Can't just say sister in law. And my 5.5-year-old daughter, 3.5-year-old daughter, sorry. It was my husband's sister's birthday, and my 3.5-year-old daughter, my husband and I were at my mother in law's house. Everything was going well until they decided that my daughter should blow out the candles with her aunt. No. My mother in law says, "Do you want to sit next to your aunt and blow out the candles?" My daughter looked at me and said, "I don't feel like it, thank you." Then she insisted, "It would be such a nice picture. Come on, sit with your aunt." My daughter looked at me and I asked her, "Do you want to go?" And the little girl replied, "No." Told the grandmother she doesn't want to. You heard her. The grandmother insisted. My daughter got upset and stared at her and said firmly, I, s- my daughter got upset, stared at her, and said firmly, "I don't want to go." My mother in law widened her eyes and said, "Okay, I didn't know." "How did you not know?" My daughter replied, "I already said no before." My husband came over to me and said, "No matter how much my mom says she she's like them, it's not true. Our daughter is just like you. She warned twice, and the third time she got upset. Sweet, and with character." I'm glad, yeah, such a wonderful husband. I'm glad the husband came in. Soy sauce, he said, "I laughed when I read that mother-in-law said I didn't know because knew kid would respond to that appropriately. I'm so proud of you, your kid, and your husband." Yeah, that's the way you do it. You don't force kids to do something they don't want to do. It's not that big a deal. Stop it. My kids, I love their hugs. They're so sweet. But sometimes they don't feel like hugging me, and that's fine. I back off. Back off. It's fine. They don't need to be forced. Forced love isn't love. Just like forced patriotism is fascism. Retail Hell entitled I Voted Yes. I vote yes. It's another little meme. People who work in customer service should be allowed to fight one customer a day, two on Fridays. Oh, yes. I vote yes on that too. As someone who has worked in customer service, 100% we should be able to fight them. Autumn the Witch says three on Saturday and four on Sunday. Corbin Tulsa says, I give up all the fights throughout the week to fight as many people as I want on Sundays. Chalk and Boot says, my idea was you get one free punch every five shifts. They can't hit you back. You just go to get to clock them as hard as you want, and the timer resets. Oh, I could have gone for that because that was about as much time as I needed it. Can I clock them over the phone? So you have to wait 5 shifts until you punch someone again, but you don't have to inform customers where on the timer you are. That means a customer that comes in with no clue as to whether it's been 7 shifts since your last punch or 7 minutes has the effect of people being worried that they could set you off, so all customers try to elevate their behavior. Delicious Tea says, do they roll over if I go 10 days without punching someone? Do I get 2 punches? Man, Chalk and Boot says, no, no stacking or banking them. Otherwise, it could get too skewed for one person has like 10 saved up. Got to make some fairness. The point is to make the customer just worried enough to behave. Though, to make things fair for smaller employees, you're allowed to gift your punch to another employee, your champion, if you will. Oh, okay, I like that. Otherwise, some 6'4" dude looks like he's going to eat 1K of raw eggs for mid-morning snack. Might think, oh, I can just be a, be a jerk because it doesn't matter if they hit me. Out comes the dude from the warehouse that spends all day lifting heavy things to do the bidding of the four, 40-kilogram 16-year-old girl. That'd be awesome. Let's see, who would I pick? I don't really know. I know who I'd pick at GM, but I never had any problems with there. Dang. I'd probably have to pick the boss. No, I'd pick the accountant. He was a big boy, tall and big. Had a reach. Next we have Am I the Devil and it is entitled I Broke My Bang Maid with ATM Function. This was originally from Relationship Advice and it was entitled I, male 32, wanged up big time. I broke my wife, female 31. English is not my first language. And we already read this. We already read this. We read this yesterday. I'm going to go find another one because we already read that yesterday. I don't remember where we read it. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Silly me. I wanted that. Yeah, like the double. Okay. There's so many of them that are the same. And of course, you can't. Oh, duh. Here we go. I'm getting there. There we go. The breakup came out of nowhere. Uh, okay. Am I the devil? The breakup came out of nowhere. And originally from board games of all places, and it just said my girlfriend broke up with me over a board game, and I'm not even joking. We were playing Catan last night with another couple. Have you ever played like Catan? I hate it. I always lose. Always. I'm like the first one out every time. Even though I have a strategy, no one cooperates. She had the longest road. I had an or port she desperately needed. She offers me a deal. I decline because it helps her more than me. She got silent, scary silent. After our friends left, she goes, "You know what your problem is? You care more about winning a weighing board game than making me happy." Oh, please, grow up. I laughed because I thought she was joking. She packed a bag and went to her sister's, texted me this morning that she needs space to think about our relationship over Catan. Am I insane or is she massively overreacting? We've been together 3 years and she's ending it over a trade in Catan. Oh, there's got to be more to it than that, sir. I genuinely don't know if this is about the board game or something deeper, but either way, I just want the wing happen. Marston's Ghost says, I love that he posted the board game sub and not the relationship one. Presumably, he knows he will get absolutely shredded if he goes and plays dumb in a post on one of those subs. Windex Fresh says, according to his comments, he legitimately had no idea it could have been about anything other than the board game. I hope his girlfriend has a great week. Marston's Ghost has agreed. May all her showers be perfect, be the perfect temperature, and she has a bank error in her favor. Toxic glycogen, and for the reverse, may both sides of his pillow be warm, and he's stepping dog crap on the way to work, like every day, every day. Cantor Circle says, quotes, I generally don't know if this is actually about the game or something deeper. Yes, you do. You know it's not about the board game. She told me exactly what the problem was. You always put yourself above her happiness. The board game was just a breaking point in a long line of examples, choosing yourself over her. It was never really about the board game, and you wanging know that. Strangled in the Moonlight quoted, I declined because it helps her more than me. She got silent, scary silent, after our friends left. Anyone wonder how he declined in front of their friends? I wonder how rude and mean he was. Oh, that's a good point. Um, sadly, the worst. This is copied from OP's comments. Don't play. Somebody said, don't play diplomacy with her. And OP says, I can't even survive Catan. Diplomacy would get me evicted. Straw Camel's back. You might not know it, but there were other issues. He says that's kind of what I'm worried about. If there were other issues, I genuinely didn't see them coming. This guy's clueless. Clueless. Somebody said your girlfriend is hurt and you're laughing and making jokes at her expense, or even putting the situation on Reddit to laugh about. Maybe this goes deeper and there are some other problems in your relationship which are your fault. And he says, yeah, that's fair. The laugh probably made it worse. I honestly thought she was joking. If there's a bigger issue, I'm open to hearing it. I just didn't know we were at that point. And somebody says, jokes aside, Catan was just a flashpoint. It could have been any game. There's far more relationships up boiling in the background that you either have not been seeing or it's more complicated than simplifying it to one moment. Not saying you're right or wrong, but it's definitely not a break up over a board game moment. And he says, oof, yes, I think I kind of zoomed in on the board game and missed the bigger picture. Lesson learned, I guess. Somebody said, my sister broke up with her boyfriend after he was a sore loser of phase 10. Good riddance. And OP says, damn, maybe I should have just let her take the oar and avoided this whole drama. Somebody says, I guess that's a trend in her mind about this. Continually feeling under prioritized, maybe. Feeling like her happiness isn't important to you, but yeah, insane to blow up over Catan alone. He says, that makes sense. I never realized she might be feeling that way for a while. Definitely something I need to think about and talk to her about. I just want to be given a fair shake. That's all. Next, we have petty revenge. Roommate keeps drinking my OJ, so I teach him a lesson. Not complicated story. My old roommate used to eat my food and drinks, despite having several conversations about boundaries, not being a dick, and nothing changed. So I faked being sick for 2 days over the weekend when he was home. I drank directly out of the OJ container. I licked the edge of the pickle jar before putting the lid top back on when some pickle juice ran over. I stuck my bare finger in the peanut butter. I used my fingers to put cream cheese in a bagel. I thought maybe I thought I made sure he noticed all of it. On Sunday he broke and asked me if I always handled food like that. I told him I thought it was dumb to dirty utensils when I'm the only one eating my food. Not only did that end my food being stolen, but he suggested we each have our own drawers and shelves in the fridge to prevent confusion. Lexi Jean has the top rated comment. It just says win. Oh. Sun Wukong says instead of hiding gross and potentially harmful stuff in your food and waiting for the unsuspecting thief to eat it, you help them make good decisions on their own. This is next level, and I salute you, OP. And OP answers, I'm all about educating the less informed so they can make better decisions. Yeah, it was funny. Am I the This is from Am I the Jerk, and it is entitled AITJ for walking out of dinner after my girlfriend tested me. I, 29 male, have been dating my girlfriend, 28 female, for 8 months. She's really into social media relationship tests, which I've always found kind of cringe but harmless. Last night we went out to dinner. Halfway through the meal, a woman came up to our table, flirted with me, and asked for my number. I immediately said no and told her I was there with my girlfriend. After the woman left, my girlfriend started laughing and told me it was her friend and she wanted to see how I would react. She said I passed, so I shouldn't be mad. I was pissed. I told her it was humiliating and manipulative. Very manipulative. And I don't want to be tested like I'm on some reality show. She said I was overreacting and the other guys would find it funny. No, they wouldn't. It's not funny. I paid for my food, left, and went home. Now she says I embarrassed her and made a big deal out of nothing. AITJ for walking out. No, no, and drop her. You would be the jerk if you to yourself if you stayed in that relationship. Dizzy Jones says, nope, that is immature. You want a life partner, not a child who plays games. First, or the OP says, you're right. This breaks me feeling this way. South Hedgehog said, an old woman here, and that would infuriate me. It's a bloody stupid thing to do, and I'd lambaste any girl who did it to my son. I'd lambaste him if he did it to a girl too. Yeah, no, don't do that. Don't do stuff like that. Why not? Because it's second top rated comment, and they say NTJ, anyone who makes up these tests is not a keeper. 100%. And typical currency is the third top rated comment. NTJ, tell her she failed and you weren't even testing her. And full far rule says, "Mm, that's cold but honestly accurate. She literally failed the test. She didn't even know what was happening. OP dodged a bullet for real. Imagine how she acts when actual problems come up. Yeah. Next, we have the subreddit entitled People, entitled Former Friend Expected Me to Drive Minors Over Border. Former friend of mine was coaching high school aged kids. One day, he called asking for help, and I initially said sure. He was attending a tournament in the States. His problem was that he didn't want to rent a bus. Instead, he wanted to rent a smaller van, but legally he couldn't cross the border with so many kids in the van. So he asked me to follow in my car and take some of them over the border. Once over, they joined the others and I returned. I burst out laughing and he started acting confused and aggressive, asking why I wouldn't help. I said, do you expect me to cross an international border with minors I don't even know and I don't even know, then return without them? He saw nothing wrong with it, but I refused. Yeah, just buy the bus. Just get the bus. Satari Lira says, does your former friend hate you? Because his plan just makes you look like the world's least sneaky human trafficker. Yes, officer, I know I have a bunch of kids in this car when I passed through an hour ago, but I promise they're not with their coach at a tournament and it's all on the up and up. Just doesn't seem like it would fly with any law enforcement officer. And it's asked what was his plan to get the kids back in your car back home. Uh, Google My Yahoo says he was going to call me on returning. He genuinely seemed confused when I called it extremely stupid. Zurank says, as a parent of a minor in sport, did he get the parents' permission for their child to be transported by a complete stranger? Because if by chance you found yourself in an accident and I got a call from the hospital that my child was in an accident with a person I did not know in a car at the border, would make you not exist in a heartbeat. This is utterly irresponsible. Wang what? Wang Twat, ex-friend of yours, should never be allowed in charge of any child. He shouldn't even be allowed to tie his own shoes. If you're transporting kids without an authorized adult in the car, and an authorized adult would be a teacher, another parent um, that's gone through background checks and stuff, um, that would not be allowed because you have to do a background check in order to be alone with students that are not your child or your child's friends. Murdered by words entitled, "He's got a laptop with pictures to back it up." Sure he does. We'll see. Melissa Chen says, "How come every VIP was in the Epstein files except Hunter Biden?" Uh, Hunter Biden liked crack and Latinas, not children. At least he wasn't a pedophile. Believe it's a top rated comment. How about we worry about the ones we know for certain were around Epstein? Don't want to have that conversation, do we? Well, Kula says, but Biden's and Obama's bad. Caleb, Caleb Lucifer says, every time one of them eyes light up at the idea that Clinton might have been there, it's like this was a big gotcha on the left cracks me up. Yes, it cracks me up too. It's like it's like, okay, so arrest him. If he was banging little kids, and he may have been, Lord knows he was a horn dog, arrest him. Arrest him. Try him. Convict him, if applicable. Throw him in jail if he's convicted. It's not rocket science. Just because you think your guy should get away with it doesn't mean that we don't have that standards. And Ether Mom says, when cracking Latinas is the wholesome option. Uh, Jiggles the Biggle says, always has been. Well, the Latinas anyway. Precious Resort answers, I'd rather be friends with a crackhead than a pedo any day of the week, even if it means having to buy a new TV every day. Yeah, sure. Second top rated comment is what we learned about Hunter Biden. Enjoys sex with women his own age. Massive hog. Like, what else would they do? He's a drug user? Oh, knows. He'll never have, he's never held public office, so who the heck cares? Trump supporters are literally ignoring the fact that Dear Leader was literally fingering children, but consensual sex with other adults and drug users is a red line. Be real for now. Fake William Shatner says, Fox News disgusted by consensual sex. Yeah, for sure. Next top rated comment. Oh, wait, do I need to do? Oh, I guess we're done with top rated comments. So he was basically just repeating something one of the other guys said anyway. It's expectation versus reality. And the cake, it's entitled The Cake She Said She Could Make versus the one she made. So it's a Little Mermaid cake. It's very cute. Cute Little Mermaid cake. I don't know how they do that. There's got to be a stamp or something, right? For this part? Or is it just piped on there? I don't know. I don't know how they do this. It's beautiful. Okay. Here goes the one that she made. Yeah, no, that's not the same, ma'am. There was not a doll on the other cake. And that piping is not even good. This is terrible. That's terrible. Also, she knew it was bad. She only sent a picture of what she made and didn't have the nerve to bring it. Publix had to save the day on the day of the party. Thank goodness for Publix and Kroger. Dangerous Bother said, I never could have imagined what the second slide had in store. And Igor says, WTF, she doing with a toothbrush. She- Waterproof soap answers her and says, "That's the doll's hairbrush. It's supposed to be shaped like a fork. It's actually kind of see from the angle of the picture." Somebody else said they thought it was a back scratcher. uh, Gotta hate yard sales. Oh, well, I guess we can't be friends. States, I thought it was a softball. Took me a minute to see the stripes actually say happy birthday. Test test for echo says, oh crap, I thought it was just something. Okay, now we're gonna have to go back and look at it again. Oh, it does say happy birthday on the sides. It does just look like crap. Second top rate commenter was the baker 10 years old. OP says not even close. East Dad says a baby because that's impressive. Third top rated comment is, what do you mean she didn't have the nerve to bring it? Who made it? Did you pay for it? I think we're all missing some context. Oh, okay. Here's the story. OP says, the baker in question was hired by my husband after the man had thanked him for his help and given him a piece of pound cake as a thank you that she had made. He explained that his wife made cakes and my husband asked if she could make something like the first picture. And he told him yes. So this was a husband making promises. My husband messaged with the lady and explained what he was looking for, and she said she could make it. It was at least 3 weeks before the party. Let me also add, he asked if he could be in charge of her cake, and I told him that was perfectly fine. I didn't ask enough questions, I guess, lesson learned. Well, I mean, you could have done the same thing. This is not on him. This is on her for lying to him. So the day she's supposed to meet him, she was coming by his job between 8 and 9 p.m., which is right before closing. He called me and told me he thought he was being ghosted because she hadn't shown up or responded to texts or calls. That's a red flag. Where's my flags? Oh, good. They're here. That is totally a red flag. He had some other things to do before he had to respond. Finally got a message for her around 10 p.m. that she had misplaced her stencils and that she had searched for 3 hours and finally bought a doll to use instead. And she never had the stencils. 10 to 1, she never had stencils. Or she could have gone out to Meyer and bought some. Told him she was working on the cake and that she would send a picture when she was done. Said it would take her 10 minutes to get to where he was after she was done. She called at 10:45 and told him she was sending the picture and let her know and she would be on her way. Once he got the picture, he didn't respond and left to go home. She did call him and said she understood the cake was horrible and didn't fault him for not paying her. Also, I didn't know that she had told him the cake would be $70, which is not a bad price for a cake if it looked like the first cake, especially. That was like a $120 cake. And no, he didn't pay for anything up front, thank goodness. The next morning, I went to Publix, bought a pre-made cake, and they gave me some Little Mermaid figure. They used it on their cakes, even though they weren't supposed to for licensing agreements. This is what I was told anyway. That's kind of weird. I hope that answers everything. Little boy found said she should have gone with the oh no. I dropped it on the way to the car and sent a picture of what it looks like. She's saying she's sorry she got ruined. Sketch Beast says, wait, you mean the baker didn't drop the car and the cake in the second pic? No, for Pete's sake. Okay, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. You know the drill. Tell everybody you know. If you find something interesting, email me, please. Email's in the description. You've heard this a billion times, unless you're new here. If you're new here, you can go back and sound like every episode. Every episode, about in the middle. Between expectation versus reality and real estate. Real estate. This is entitled "A Tall, Skinny Tudor: The Dream Home for a Colorful Good Witch." Lure the kid in with the mosaic art. Feed them gingerbread cookies. This is in Seattle. This is in Seattle. We do have some small places in Seattle. It is really cute though. If I was alone, I might live in a house like isn't it cute? It even has the Cape Cano. Oh geez, it's 800. Oh my goodness, $876,000. Three bedrooms, two bathrooms, and it's 19 smallest of. It looks smaller than 1900 square feet. Cute. I like that. That's cute. Wow, that is like permanent cave cannon. Nice purple door. Very colorful. I don't know what that means. I mean, that's kind of bright for me, but okay. Yeah, that's a bright room. I like subtle tones. Oh my goodness, I think I had that clock when I was a kid. I think we had that clock when I was a kid. It doesn't look like a clock, but I totally had that clock when I was a kid. Women baseball player. I guess that's a mirror, but I swear they used to have clocks like that. Little teeny tiny table. Does it have a separate dining room? I guess this could be the dining room if you wanted it to be. That's cute. You shouldn't really use a red orange tone in your kitchen because it makes your meat look funny. But it's not bad. I don't like the open, but that's just me. I don't like the open shelves, but that's just me. My kid has it. It's fine. My kids have that and theirs. Better them than me. I would have to have it to where everything had a place and you put it back in the same place every time, which my husband has a hard time doing. So I would make this the dining room, honestly. I don't know what it is supposed to be, but a little dusky there, looking out to the neighbors. That's weird. Why? Just why? Why is this not covered up? I would have a door on it or something. It did have my closet was like that when I was a kid, though. Do not like these stairs at all. Like, at all. Do not like. No. Absolutely not. Nope, 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 nope. Mm-mm. Interesting that there's outlets way up here. What are you using them for? I wonder if that was closed in. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. There's your bedroom way up in the rafters. That ceiling is too low. I'm 5 foot tall and that ceiling is too low. That's claustrophobic right there. Interesting. No shade, no screens. That's a little better. Still want a door for the freaking closet here. And what the heck is this? Why are this not connected? I don't like this house. I don't like the interior. It's cute, don't get me wrong. Everything's cute in it. It's just weird. And I don't like that. It looks old and no. I realize it's supposed to look like that, but I don't like it. It looks out of it looks like it needs to be fixed, is what it looks like. It's weird. I don't know. Well, I mean, the bedrooms are small, of course, because it's a small house, but that's a reasonable bedroom. Very outdated, but very reasonable. Basement is unfinished, but you got your washer and dryer down there, so I guess that's all we need. that deck needs some work. I'd have to have my son come fix it for me. How was that 1,900 square feet? Because I swear our 1,600 square feet felt way bigger than that. A one-car garage. So I guess you're not having a partner living in this house. That's what it looked like when it was new. Why does it look taller? Why does it look wider? I mean, it is a cute house, but I don't like the interior at all. But that's just me. You might like it. Okay. $876,000, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,900 square feet. So a 4,500 square foot lot or a 600 square foot lot. Built in 1927, and it shows. I might have to redo the whole thing, except the outside. So it's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1 full bath and 1 3/4 bath. Um, Utility rooms down in the basement. It's got a fireplace. It's got a nice forced air natural gas heat, so that's cool. It does not have air conditioning, but that's not unusual for that area. They don't know how to act. They have heat advisory warnings when it's 70 degrees outside. That's kind of silly. They don't know from heat over there. The primary and second bedroom are in level, and the 1 bedroom's on the lower level. So where's that other one? It was clearly on the third level. Of course, the entry hall's on the main level. Where else would the entry hall be? Includes dishwasher, dryer, refrigerator, stove, range, washer, uh, water heater. Water heater's gas. Ceiling fans. Total structure area 1,900 square feet. Does that mean the basement was included in the 1,900 square feet? That would make more sense. That would make more sense if they included the basement in the 1,900 square feet. Because nobody's living in that basement. That would make the house at least a third smaller. Wood siding, not great. It says year built 1927, major remodel year 1927. So they've done nothing to this house since 1927. That's not good. And it was sold for that much money. Holy cow. On March 2nd. The property taxes are $7,000. That seems like a lot. 7,300 actually. 7,400. That's kind of a lot. All the houses around it are like in the 600s and 700,000. And they got 800,000 for that? That's wild. That's wild. What That's crazy, as they say. Um Parmaster says, in a different life, I think I would be happy living in that house. OP says, I appreciate the window balcony combo in the top floor bedroom. Give me a little coffee maker next to the bed, and I could stand in the fresh air, enjoying the morning, peeking out of the area. Yeah. I can't wait till it's warm enough to go outside and first thing in the morning. I think I'm going to start doing that. Oh, I know. I didn't see the description. OP says, did y'all see the description? Once upon a time, in the misty hills of West Seattle, a charming storybook tutor rose above the bustling street. Her steeply pitched roofs and soaring chimney reached toward the clouds as if to take flight. Through her arched entryways were grand, she felt exposed upon her barren lot, longing for a thicket of emerald leaves to hide her magic from the prying eyes of non-believers. Her unmistakable period architecture warmed her first inhabitants, and her story began to unfold. Nearly 30 winters ago, a wandering artist and her companion stepped through her welcoming doors, and she felt a flutter of hope in her floorboards. The lady saw not only just the dwelling, but the living canvas. With a flick of a brush and a heart full of whimsy, she began to weave a spell of colors and textures across the walls, ensuring that modern comfort bloomed in perfect harmony with the home's ancient soul. Outside, amid the now towering timbers, the couple planted the seeds that shielded the manor and grew into a secret garden where time seems to stand still. For decades, the halls echoed with the laughter of kin and the warmth of a thousand feasts soaking into the very plaster with love. Though she has bid a bittersweet farewell to her longtime guardians, this 1927 treasure now waits with bated breath. Her gardens are lush, her hearth is warm, and she is ready for a new dreamer to pick up the brush. To cross her threshold is to fall under a permanent spell. Will you be the one to write her next chapter? That's kind of cute. Kind of cute. Manor is a bit of a stretch. Next, we have Interesting AF. It's hundreds of private jets departed the Bay Area immediately after the Super Bowl ended. That's kind of interesting. And somebody screen recorded it. Look at that. That's crazy. It just proves that only the rich can afford Super Bowl. Getting them out of there fast too, aren't they? This is probably sped up a little bit. That's insane. Eat the rich. That's all I have to say. Next, we have Emma the A-hole, AITA, for telling our roommate she might need to move out if she keeps complaining about hearing us at night. Ooh. This was posted as not safe for work, just as a warning. My boyfriend and I let a friend he's known since childhood stay at our place because housing is expensive and her university is nearby. She stays here 5 days a week and goes home on weekends. We do not charge her rent and we pay for utilities and groceries while she's here. Wow, she has it easy. Dang. She has her own bathroom and full access to basically everything, things in the kitchen, pool, sauna, etc. Her bedroom is not next to ours. Between our bedroom and her space is a computer working room, and her bathroom also in between. So there's quite a bit of separation. A few months ago, said she could hear us being intimate at night, and it made her uncomfortable. Well, stop listening then. Turn on a TV or a noise machine or something. We said we'd try to be quieter when she's around. Since then, she has brought it up multiple times. Recently, she asked if she could switch rooms. The only rooms we could realistically swap would be the one my 7-year-old sister uses when she sleeps over, or my hobby room. All the other rooms are already set up permanently. We don't want to rearrange our home for this, especially since we intended to help her out. After the last complaint, I told her calmly but firmly that we've adjusted as much as we think is fair. I said this will keep being an issue. Maybe this living situation isn't a good fit, and she might need to find another place to stay. She thinks I'm being unfair, AITA. No. Noise canceling headphones, my dear. I need some of those, by the way. Snoo Tomato says, do I get this right? She gets free housing and food? I mean, I get that it's awkward and uncomfortable hearing people have sex if I get to stay in a house in my own room with my own bathroom, a sauna, a pool for absolutely free. I just buy noise canceling headphones and shut up. See what I said? I didn't read that before, I promise. Otherwise, text answered, right? One of my friends let me use a spare bedroom in his house, full bathroom, walk-in closet that I could easily have parked my Toyota Highlander in. They aren't rich, but easily the nicest house I've ever been in rich. I was only there like 2 or 3 nights and paid $300 a month and never ate his food, except his mom literally packed me lunch for work. She wouldn't stop. I tried to get her to several times, and any of them could have had a bloody orgy in the living room to death metal house shaking decibels, and I would have not said a GD thing about it. Travel Bug says, right? I mean, other people having sex never bothers me that much anyway. It can be hot to listen to. I suppose because it's a friend that might be weird, but sorry, I just got some weird news. I'm not going to share it. But she can easily wear earplugs. This girl wins most entitled award of 2026. Yeah, no kidding. Psycho Stick username. We don't charge her rent and we pay for all utilities and groceries. You can do whatever the way you want. She can live with it or she can move, and that's the absolute end of it. Good for you for doing a good deed for a friend, but if they start to dictate how you live, well, you're more patient than I for letting it go on so long. I'm telling you, just noise canceling headphones. That's all you need. Noise canceling headphones. If you need, put on some music. Educational Tango said, even if she were paying rent, that's part of the deal with roommates, even temporary ones. People be wanging. It's just the natural type of things. Uh, Beshi Me quoted, recently she asked if she could switch rooms, and the answer is yes. She should find a room outside your house and switch to it. Just let her go if she isn't such pain in the ass at TA, of course. Um, wow, I didn't expect all these upvotes. Thank you. They've got over 8,000. calm, calm problems is best reply, honestly. This is from Overheard, and it's entitled In a Fourth Grade Classroom. 10-year-old boy to his friends. My mom is 47. My dad is 50. Yeah, kind of late, but not that bad. His fourth grade friends. What? That's so odd. No way. 10-year-old boy. I swear to God they are. Fourth grade friend. Bro, that's crazy. That's like how old my grandparents are, practically. And they would be too. Could easily be his grandparents' age. A lot of people become grandparents in their late 40s. Oh, that's funny. Some even in their early 40s. Some even in their 30s. Not ideal. 30s is not ideal. Betsy Brooks says, my daughter came home in fourth grade so excited to tell me her teacher's mom is the same age as me. Mary T. Watching says, my mom's friend is babysitting four older siblings while mom and dad are in the hospital for my birth. Very important that I remember that my mom is about to have a child. The friend had the TV on because the funeral of famous was being televised. 5-year-old brother, what's that? Friend, famous person died. This is the funeral. Brother, what did he die of? Friend, old age, I think. How old was he? 73. Brother, eyes widening. My mother is 73. Friend, brother, or is she 37? Oh, get that kid checked for dyscalculia. Yeah, I wish I could answer that. He says it's dyslexic. It's not. It's dyscalculia. Second top rated comment is from Dicky Doo. And he says, I'm 49. I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. We thought my wife was infertile, so we didn't use protection. My son was a surprise. And then we had a condom break one time. And that led to my daughter being born. I had a little freak out moment when my wife told me she was pregnant with my daughter. But now she's the best thing I've ever done besides my little boy. And I feel tremendous guilt over the freak out. Funny Budget says, hey, I'm 50 and my children are the same age. Blows my high school and mostly Latina students' minds. I hate Latinx. It's not a word. 10K and nerdy. I say it keeps me young. It also helps me be a mellow parent, which is a good zig to the hyper involved zigs and zags of some of the other younger parents in my school's cohort. 40 and 42, my son and daughter were born. I'm 60 and 61, and I can't imagine having a 10 or 11-year-old right now, to be honest. I couldn't anyway. It would not have been physically possible. The youngest could have been 15. Misadventure Bus is the third top rated comment. No, she's not. Yes, she is. Yes, he is. Okay. Misadventure Bus says, when I was 12, I thought my 21-year-old cousin was ancient. When my son was 7, he asked me if bicycles were invented when I was a kid. She doesn't say how old she is, though. The OP says, "LOL. When I was 16, I was a summer camp counselor. The kids thought I was an adult. They'd ask me if I was married and how many kids I had. I asked one kid how old he thought I was, and with a complete serious, he goes, I don't know, maybe 73." Oh. Cheer off my chest, entitled, "My dad left everything in his will to my brother after I took care of him alone for 6 years, and I'm whinging mad. I don't blame you. For 6 years, I have put my life on hold for my dad. I truly loved him, and this isn't just about money. I thought he was my best friend. 6 years ago, my parents got into a devastating car accident where my mom died, and my dad got paralyzed from the neck down. Back then, I was 22, fresh out of college, while my only brother was 33, married with 3 kids. At first, we had a home nurse with a dad, but after an accident, he didn't trust them anymore, and they wanted me to take care of him. And he'd provide for me, so I accepted because I loved him and felt bad." This sounds terrible because now she has no income. Her brother should fix that. A few weeks ago, he had a stroke and he died in his sleep, which was so devastating to me. Oh wait, I missed a whole section. 6 whole years, basically no life of my own to take care of him. Sometimes my brother and sister-in-law would come to give me breaks so I could have personal time, but they always made me feel like they were doing this huge favor. That's awful. They should be happily doing that. Happily. You're taking care of dad. Let me come um let me come take care of him. A few weeks ago, dad had a stroke and he died in his sleep, and which was so devastating to me. But just days later, I found out he literally left everything to my older brother except for some sentimental stuff. His reasoning: he provided for me for the last 6 years, and my brother needed it more because he has a family and kids to support. Absolutely not. She gave up her life, a career, 6 years of a career. You think she didn't? Oh, I'm so angry right now. Oh, my brother's refusing to share anything with me, and I can't contest the will because I did receive stuff. Bull crap. No, you should charge the estate for salary for all that time. I bet you it's more than what your brother got. I'm so frustrated and upset right now. I spent my entire 20s stuck at home caring for dad and taking him in the shower and bathroom for all the soul crushing stuff that comes with caregiving, and he just betrayed me like that. He also left the house to my brother, and he's kicking me out in a week and a half. I literally have no place to go. I have no work experience and can't even find a minimum wage jobs. I've applied to over 60 places now and nothing. I love my dad, but right now I'm so wanging mad and angry at him. He wanged up my entire life twice now. I regret ever agreeing to be his caretaker. That is just so wrong. Slight suggestion says, actually, wait, someone won their case when their parent did the same thing and the brother told her she was going to lose in court. She had proof she took care of him and brother lost. Anonym says, medical records and office surveillance videos, pharmacy records. If OP had a medical POA for the dad and established residency at the home, mail, driver's license, address, etc., that all counts as evidence. Family law, real estate attorney can consult and give more specific guidance if OP has a legal case to contest the dad's will and can refer any lawyers who might take the case for free. And Vive Me Raw says, start building a timeline and income lost from caretaking. Calculate your hours and bill him. I knew OP must be female. This is some old-timey misogyny. 100%. Crafty or Crafty says also evictions take time. How long has he given you because you have rights? Also, if you were there for more than a certain period of time, you have squatters' rights too. If you took care of the house and he did nothing, it's your house, or at least partially your house. 100%. Rare Ad says 100% look up squatters' rights in your location since I doubt there was a lease or contract. Foghorn says wouldn't even be squatters' rights. OP has established residency. They need to be given formal notice, which would most assuredly be given more to them than what they stated they were giving. Yes. Logical Plant says, I'm sorry your brother is heartless. Is a heartless AH. What your dad did was horrible. I'd consult a lawyer just in case. And X Grader says, yes, I came here basically to say the same. I'm no lawyer, more amateur than we'll have similar situations soon. So my understanding is that you need to chat with a lawyer. As much as we'd like to follow his last wishes, it's not always accurate. The laws may provide you to contest it. If it were me, I would approach it appealing the common sense of the brother with clear statements that you will escalate. I'm sorry that you're in this situation, but my eyes, family is family. It doesn't matter how hard one has it over another sibling. Good luck. Logical Plant says, I was wondering if maybe there could be a case to sue the dad's estate for back wages for 24/7 caretaking for 6 years. Because let's be straight, he did not take care of you for 6 years. You took care of him 24/7. Care is very expensive. Yes. Glittering Swan said, I would get legal advice to double check because if you can prove your expenses were for your caring role, then you had nothing. His money should be split even equally, if that. The system shouldn't favor one over one's sibling. He didn't provide for you for 6 years. You were unpaid caretaker, so those expenses were the equivalent of your salary for caring, surely. Your brother is a disgrace, is disgraceful. He should know what you did for your dad and split the money. He didn't even want to give her respite care. So he don't care. He knew that from the beginning. I'd go no contact with your brother and don't go to your dad's funeral. Your dad respected you. Edit. Items of sentimental value are very different than money and assets, so whatever the law stops you from contesting doesn't make sense. You need to tell a lawyer that your dad refused cares and asked you to give up 6 years of your life to care for him. He did not look after you for 6 years. You looked after him. Exactly. 150,000%. Next is from What Do I Do? And it's entitled, I'm staying at my boyfriend's house 2 hours away and found out he cheated me on the entirety of our relationship. Says, I've been staying at my boyfriend's house for the past few days. We have been having a lot of problems in the beginning of the relationship with a girl he's been friends with for 5 years. My gut kept telling me something weird was going on between them, but he kept telling me there was nothing between them, but it was just the back of my mind. I decided to go through his phone yesterday and I saw these messages between them in his recently deleted. I know I shouldn't have went through with his phone, but I needed to know why. I couldn't let go of the feeling I had from her. I'm lost and confused and so hurt. I want to tell the girl off so badly because she knew about me the whole time. And I kept playing along with everything. I'm so wangy hurt and I don't know what to do. I don't feel enough of all of that, and especially because another woman can do this to her own wanging gender. I don't think that matters. That's not that big of a deal. Have you met people? I'm sorry. It's sick and so cruel. What do I even do in this situation? I can't leave for another day and I feel horrible and distraught. And the texts are hard to read. Um, Texts are really hard to read. I'm not even going to show you. um, Rioni says, cry, pick yourself up, shower, pack your things, walk out, never look back. Neither one of these awful people deserve an ounce of your energy. Scream into the void if you have to, but don't give her the satisfaction of knowing she got under your skin. And then they answer their own post saying, "Man, I'm sorry I reread the part where you can't leave for another day. Do everything in your power to find a way to leave today. If you really can't, I do my best to avoid getting into it with him tonight. Wouldn't normally recommend something like this, but I would consider faking a migraine or something to avoid him. Would worry about him being angry enough to kick you out or something without another place to go. Or he has tried to convince you it was all a mistake, he'd do better, and maybe even suck you back in, but he's not worthy of that." Exactly. That's all we need to say about that one. Next, we have entitled parents entitled, "My boyfriend's mom showed up to my apartment to inspect it before deciding if he's allowed to move in with me." So my boyfriend Jake and I have been together for almost 2 years. Decided he's going to move into my apartment that I pay for, that I have lived in alone for 3 years. Jake is 26 years old. Jake does not need mommy. He is a man, or at least he should be. I found out last Thursday when my neighbor texted me saying there was a woman in the hallway taking pictures of the building entrance and asking other tenants about noise levels and what kind of people live here. I came home on my lunch break and she was literally standing in my hallway with a notepad. His mom introduced herself very warmly, saying Jake had mentioned the move and she just wanted to see where her son would be living before things got too far along. You've been dating for almost 2 years and you haven't met his mom yet? That's kind of a red flag, lady. She asked if she could come inside and check the layout, and I said no. And she looked genuinely surprised, like that was an unreasonable response. She then told me she had some concerns about the neighborhood and wanted to discuss house rules in case Jake moves in, including whether I'd be okay with her having a spare key for visits. Oh, hell no. Red flag number two. No, I don't even have a key to my kids' apartments and houses. I told her this wasn't something we were going to discuss at my front door. Without Jake present and that showing up unannounced to evaluate my home was not something I was comfortable with. She left but texted Jake that I was hostile, that she thinks we're rushing things. It's been 2 years. Jake apologized and says she does stuff like this, but he looked genuinely embarrassed. I like him a lot, but the idea that his mom sees my home as a space she gets veto power over is making me rethink the whole timeline of this move, honestly. Fry One Fact Manic says, I'm not surprised you're rethinking it. This is just the start of her overbearing interference. You really need to see how she handles his mother going forward. He needs to be able to be firm with her, and if he's not, her BS will escalate. Criticism Lazy answers, yeah, this right here is the key. Seems like OP has it handled, but I'd be keeping a real close eye on the situation. 100%. Next up, ready to comment is dipping my toes, and they say, I would tell boyfriend he's not allowed to move in until after he's weaned. This has disaster written all over it. OP says, I get the joke, but yeah, I felt like he's taking cues from her. I'm not moving him in until we're both clear. No keys, no drop-ins, no approval. Chocolate Cocoa says it may be a joke, but please be so serious about this. Does he currently live with her? Does she cook for him and clean for him on a regular basis? Or will he expect you to do the same? Will he cave and give her a spare key without your knowledge? He seems a prime candidate to live alone for a bit before you let him move in. Clash Bandicoot he put in like title text, which is bigger than normal text, but not yelling. OP, please listen to this. It's not your responsibility in a relationship to manage someone else's parents. It's your boyfriend's responsibility to create boundaries for your relationship together. Off uh, headline. If you don't start this now, you will be in a world of violated boundaries together in the future. Yeah, she's just that kind of mom, that mother-in-law waiting to happen, isn't she? Churchy Baby says, I will be aware she will convince Jake to give her spare key for emergencies and will drop by unannounced all the time. Yeah. Then we have Oh No Consequences, and it's entitled, Look, I understand that I forced my daughter to miss a once in a lifetime moment, but I need I need help being a father. It's not my fault. This is from Am I the A-hole? And it was originally entitled AITH for needing my daughter to help. I, 62, lost my wife 10 years ago. This happened during that time, but has been brought up recently. When my wife died, I ended up relying heavily on my oldest, who was 16. I'll call Nancy. So you, instead of taking care of everything yourself like a woman would do, um, or a good parent would do, you parentalized your daughter. Good going, Dad. Great. Great idea. Great. She gave up the most. I'll admit that because I needed someone to help watch the younger boys while I worked. That's what daycare's for, sir. That's what your extra income from Social Security would cover. That's what daycare's for. She could no longer be part of her soccer team or her art program. That is just bad parenting. Oh, I'm mad at this guy already. I needed her home. During her senior year, she told me going to prom was very important to her and please let her figure something out so she could go. I said I would, but I ended up forgetting about it and working late. What an ass. Oh, did your daughter talk to you? Because she shouldn't. I got home to find her crying in her dress. I was tired and didn't want to get into it. Gosh. Oh my God. Yeah, with this guy. I can't. And I told her I was sorry, but it wasn't like she missed anything important. It was her prom. You wanging a-hole. Nancy didn't talk to me for days after that. When her college letters started coming, I didn't think much of it and assumed she'd pick a college close to home. Well, she ended up getting partial scholarship to a school several hours away. Good for her. Good, good, Nancy. Good job. I was pretty upset because I still needed help, but she said she gave up 2 years of doing anything for herself to take care of her brothers, and she wasn't a replacement mom, and I used her. And she is 100% correct. This girl has her head on straight and knows what she's doing. Good. I said she was being dramatic and she couldn't abandon her family. What were we supposed to do? Oh, I know, figure it out like every other parent does. She said I could be a parent and figure it out. There was a big fight, but she left anyhow, and I don't have much contact with her now. My oldest son is a senior this year, and he was FaceTiming Nancy saying there wouldn't be a prom and how he understood, but he was disappointed because he really wanted to take his girlfriend. Nancy said she understood because she didn't get to go to prom either. He said he was sorry, but she said it wasn't his fault. He was just a kid and that I didn't come home when I was supposed to and she missed it. I came in and said it was pretty pathetic that she was still hung up on that. She snapped back that it was far more pathetic to be so inept as a parent. I couldn't handle giving her one night that she knew that I knew was important to her. She said then that said goodbye to her brother and signed off. My son said I'm an a-hole, and that was no surprise. Nancy wanted nothing to do with me. I got angry and grounded him, but he just laughed. Man, this guy. I don't think it was all appropriate for her to tell him that, but my son maintains that I'm the only a-hole here, so AITA. Yes, you are. You are. 100%. Nitro says I would love a 5-year update from him. No, I want to hear from the son and daughter. OP says, me too. There will be all sorts of how OOP absolutely failed his children deliberately. J Star says he didn't fail them. It was no big deal. She was being petty for bringing it up 10 years later. Slash sarcasm, of course. This guy's a major tool. I'm sorry his wife died, but dang, you just can't do that to your children and then wonder why they don't talk to you. Traditional fan says what is even more horrific is she was still a child, also grieving her mother, yet all OP just made her a substitute mom, NTA, even remotely. Lily Gant says, even in his own telling, he sounds awful. She literally asked for one thing, one single night, and not even an obscure night like the release of a random new movie. She asked for prom, a huge cultural milestone that happens at roughly the same time every year. She asked it in advance. She didn't complain until he broke his end of the deal. She literally did everything right, and he treated her like an appliance. 100%. Parfait Motor says he came home and she was in her dress. That's just heartbreaking, thinking about how this kid getting ready and then waiting in her dress so she could leave only for him to be late. Talk about a failure of a father. Oh my goodness. LMAF, where on Reddit said, yeah, Wang, that weak excuse for a man abused his daughter because he failed at being a man. 100%. Mildly infuriating. Guy on what flight watched entire movie without tapping screen to get rid of overlay. Well, there's a picture. I mean, if that's how he wants to watch a movie, how is that bothering you, sir? Don't know why that would matter to you. Why is that infuriating at all? Silence of the Tards says my mom keeps the brightness at 100% and about 400 browser tabs opening. Also relies on auto lock instead of manually turning the screen off. It drives me insane. I think this is one of my kids. It's so hard to be a lizard. Says on the computer, I can't stand having too many tabs open. I'm constantly pruning them. On my phone, I currently have 497 open. The max is 500. I prune mine on my phone, and I often have several open on my computer, but I'm usually using them. Some guy says I have 500, so I started using incognito to get an extra 500. I don't want to close their tabs. What if I need them someday? Wang Yu Karen. This is a review of my family run local Chinese takeaway. It says order takeaway on Wednesday evening for my wife and I. Very disappointed. After spending our usual $35, found our chicken balls and salt and pepper chips completely overcooked, and the chicken curry contained so much onion and carrots there was hardly any sauce. Called them to say what we had, only to receive an apology. Called back the next evening to ask if they would replace the chicken balls and salt pepper chips, and only asked for curry sauce. Even offered to bring down the food we couldn't eat, only to be informed that we would only replace one item. Told them to stick it up their backside, then proceeded to dump the uneaten food on the counter in front of waiting customers. Wow. That's not the whole review either. No, there's a reason for that, sir. Sufficient says tried to return food a day later. WTF. Mazi says, I never worked in a restaurant, but grocery store and stuff like this is unfortunately surprisingly common. Both dumping stuff on the counter, but returning like 10% of an old milk that's 2 weeks past expiry, complaining it's stolen, it's spoiled. What? I mean, I expect it to be spoiled after 2 weeks. I once had someone return an old apple core saying they didn't like the taste of the apple. They got their 10-cent refund, so it worked. As long as they didn't verbally assault you, I really didn't mind, to be honest. The daily verbal assaults were the crappiest part. That's just theft at that point. Getting absolutely aggressively shouted at because we were sold out of ham on Christmas Day at 4 p.m. was always a treat. Why were you even open? Don't open on Christmas Day. You should be spending it with your family. Some people have actually no shame and will exploit the fact that they know all these places often will do whatever it takes not to get a negative review in a restaurant. That grocery store managers will do almost everything to keep customers. Samarin says one time a customer tried to return a rotten cabbage to my coworker. The only problem is he already threw away the cantaloupe because it was rotten, duh. And he already threw away the receipt too because he bought it a few days before. Who keeps receipts that long? But he wanted his money back and he also paid cash. I'm still amazed my coworker didn't have an aneurysm on the spot. All these people. Could be better forever says, I still remember someone trying to return a half-eaten loaf of bread that had mold on it. They handed me a month-old receipt. I assume that sort of thing because were used to getting their way when they do it. Yeah, that's the problem. Stop catering to these people. Ignore the bad reviews. Everybody knows they're lying. Just stop catering to them. Lucky in Love said, I worked at a grocery store when I was in high school a few years after. The amount of times people would come in on Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, right before we were about to close and get mad because we only had frozen turkeys. That's why I buy mine like at least 4 days ahead of time. One lady did her entire Thanksgiving shopping an hour before we closed at 4 p.m. As she was checking out, she asked me how to cook the turkey since it was her first cooking a holiday meal. I was 16 and had no idea, but I did tell her that the turkey was frozen and a big turkey alone would take days to thaw if done right. She was pissed at me, saying I ruined her holiday and that she heard 30 people expecting full dinner at 6 p.m. Well, good luck with that. I told her that wasn't going to happen. My Manager heard the entire conversation and stepped in after she started cussing at me. He told her that her lack of planning was her issue to deal with and not to talk to his employees like that. He was an awesome manager. She was pissed, bought her stuff, and stormed out. Some people are absolutely stupid. That is 100% true. Assistant Ted said, I have my own way of dealing with restaurant food that doesn't meet my standards. I pay, I leave, I never come back. I never make a scene or leave a bad review. I simply vanish. I am what restaurants fear, the slow, inexorable decline of customers. Best of all, my blood pressure never goes up. I have moved on already. RSG says, eventually this will work most of the time. Bad business eventually closes. However, if you can write a review without spiking your blood pressure, it can save others from going through what you did. Yeah. Corn Doggy says, I only ever write bad reviews for crappy people, not for food. And most of the time, I'll only write good reviews. An author I like says he only ever rates things 5 stars or he won't rate them. He isn't trying to hurt someone's hard work and livelihood. Happy Matt says, have you ever heard of Amy's Baking Company? Some people legitimately deserve a bad review. Yes. Especially if they're rude. All right. Next one is BJB says, back in 1988, my wife and I were traveling around Europe. We went to a Chinese in London for dinner. While we were there, a woman walked in with a bag of takeaway. She went to the lady on the counter in a very posh accent and says, I can't believe you sold this to me. Like it would have been a quality to serve it to a lesser person. Emote Control says the UK made a mistake of not doing with their aristocrats what France did to theirs, and they've been suffering the consequences ever since. Next is from Am I Overreacting? And it is entitled AIO for quitting my job after finding this note on my desk. I guess I can show it to you. It's right on our keyboard. Or his. I didn't catch the name. Problems and issues don't matter when cows need fed and cows need milked. Okay, so go work on a farm, sir? I guess. You can't tell. Recently, I relocated from the south to the north. This is my first winter here. Unfortunately, I was unaware side streets in my area are not plowed until later in the day. During the storm, we received approximately 10 inches of snow. That is a very legitimate reason for not coming to work. 10 inches of snow is ridiculous, and no one should have to work unless they're up in the UP where they're used to that amount of snow. Down here, we're not. I was informed that I needed to remain at work in order to be present for my next morning shift. Oh, Wang, no. I communicated at that time that I had pets at home who rely on me, that the storm approaching, there was possibility I could become stranded at work. I made multiple attempts to secure alternative care for my pets but were unable to find anyone. What kind of place makes you stay unless it's a hospital or something? Sometimes they'll do that. I'd only been in the supervisor role for 1 month. Another supervisor was already staying overnight as a precaution. Ultimately, I was unable to get my car out of the street and had to call out. I was written up for this because I notified management approximately 5 hours before my shift. When I returned from my next shift, I found this note on my desk. The note was upsetting and made me feel unwelcome. Given that I had only been employed for 1 month and had already received one write-up for minor issues, something I have never experienced in my work history. I went home that night and emailed my boss that I quit for XYZ, and she replied, Happy holidays, and that was it. My parents said it was an overreaction to quit because of her note, and she probably meant well by it. No, she didn't. But I don't think anything could have been taken well by the note that was left. Because everyone was confused. It was a hotel job, and I'm not working on a farm, and I already had another job. I can see needing overnight people at the hotel, but they already had an overnight person. So why are you making this person stay overnight? And you knew she was going to call in the next morning for 10 inches of snow. Admit that you're a prune says you should have said that you had a pet cow. Maybe then she'd understand. Psychovision says when cows need fed and cows need milk, so you do understand that why I have to leave. Starcraft says I have spent the night working during a snowstorm before because I got caught work on a horse farm and the horses need to be fed. Horses have to be fed or they can die. I have been paid as on the clock when sleeping. I don't really understand the note means in context of an office job. Does OP work on a dairy farm? Puppy Jake Khaki Collar says, does it have to be so long? I work in an animal shelter and have to spend the night because of snow or hurricanes. OP works at a hotel, and this note makes no sense. Makes the manager seem not all there. Yeah, the note makes no sense for sure. Second top rated comment is from Educational Clothes. Where did you work that it was necessary to stay overnight so that you couldn't be there in the morning while your town was snow? And OP says in a hotel. Wanging Eyeball says, then definitely no overreaction. Two write ups and a weird note, and any sane person would be out. Wang that place. Dude with the sweater says, hotels are some of the most toxic worst places in around. Not surprised, to be honest. Western Contract says, I've worked three different hotels. All of them had more drama than theater kids at your high school. Honestly, drama clubs with not that much drama. I would only, I would need a whole tea party to go over all the tea as there, there it is. Their top rated comment. Oh no, this is the second one. Second top rated comment is this workplace sounds insane. Good riddance. And I watch gifs for way too long. Says I. It sounds like they hate her. Uh, Jesus, her boss's response to quitting was happy holidays. It sounds like they were trying to get rid of her. Um, Pesky antagonist says since they quit, they don't have to pay unemployment insurance. That's a big win. Leonard Kitty says, technically, that's not always true. I work in the employment office, and if you provide a good case, you can still get unemployment when quitting. In this case, the treatment by her superior. It's up to the adjudicator at the end, and they can appeal it as well. It might not be worth it, however, since they already have another job. If you make too much money, you won't get anything. Might get something, though. Depends on your state's maximum and what you're making and what you made, period. The good names are gone, so I got fired from a job when I applied for unemployment. I was rejected because they made all these wild claims about me. I remember I had to do a phone call with someone from unemployment. She asked what happened, and I could tell she was annoyed. She was like, well, I just spoke to the VP and he made allegations against you stealing time and company property. And I was like, well, I have a letter signed by him that said they were doing away with my position because they needed to downsize the company. This is the first time I'm hearing about all this other stuff. She was super pissed now and asked me to fax the letter. Turns out they claimed the company property I stole was the Adobe Creative Suite that I paid for, and stealing time was me making a flyer on my lunch break. I hope they got in trouble, but they also went out of business later that year. They're probably downsizing because they were going out of business. Her top party comment is from Automatic Effect. They say, I'm not really sure about the note, but I will say if any job not called doctor told me I had to spend the night to be there the next day due to weather, I would be out. H Bomb says it's wild how many employers overinflate the importance of the work they do. Mother of a Chimp says they overinflate the importance but refuse to pay according to the same logic. Yeah, it's weird. Jetnall says they sh- they sure wouldn't be paying that for overnight stay. I'm curious what kind of job there is where they make employees stay overnight so they can work the next day. Anything in healthcare. Mother of a Chimp answers, my part-time job, mental health, does this. I was paid $40 to stay in the residence where I work, so I could work a double the next day. I have the luxury of being able to do so because I have someone to tend to my pets. Others do not have the same luxury, and management needs to plan accordingly and not act like dicks. Edited to add, to avoid any more comics, I was not required to spend the night. I was not on call. I was not required to work. I was given a private suite to sleep in a very nice facility so that I would not have to drive through a snowstorm in the morning for 50 miles to get back to my part-time job, and I got paid to sleep. The only thing scheduled shift at 7 o'clock in the morning. And yes, I'm thankful for the opportunity to spend the night and make $40 for sleeping. Yeah, no kidding. That's how they should do it. The other option is somebody comes get you because that's what they did at my old job. If couldn't get there, the snow was too bad, the plow truck would come get me. Sometimes they come get me when I know I needed to work. Teenage love. This is from Server Life. I had a high school boy and girl at my table tonight. The boy discreetly requested this message be put on a plate with dessert. Throughout the whole dinner, the girl was on FaceTime with her friend. Her question to his answer was, I guess. Aw, that's sad. That's really sad. This is sweet, though. This guy deserves better than this girl because he's a sweetheart. Some girl needs to snap him away. Poor guy. Yeah. Nocturnal, nocturnal occulto says this one's gonna end well. I think that's sarcasm. Sea Dog says, "Oof, lessons to be learned." LMAO. Comic says, "Oh, that's sweet. Oh, I'm sorry, I just don't see you like that." After she eats it all. Oh, next top rated comment, not meme, is kudos whoever wrote the message clearly. Yes. Opie says it was me. Thank you a lot. Thank you. LOL is not easy to write in a small icing tube. Oh my gosh. No, they did good. She did a good job. Opie did a good job on that. Next, we have confession, and it is entitled I used to perform stealth shots at work and I still regret it. Back in my high school days, I was so boring during class, I secretly taught myself to pleasure without using my hands. I What are we calling them these days? Knob? Knob seems good. Knob and toilet paper during breaks. Sit perfectly at my desk and use only my pelvic muscles. Ew. No movement, no noise, total silence. Uh, ew. Gross. It gets done without anybody noticing. Stealth, they called it stealth shots. Looking back, I know it came from a darker place. I was bullied deeply, insecure, and carrying a lot of unresolved baggage. Instead of dealing with my stress in a healthy way, I chose something immature and secretive. I regret it. Pain might explain my behavior, but does not excuse it. Oh, I'm glad at it. I can still perform stealth shots, but I prefer using my precious flashlight. Dazzle Leo says this is something a Stephen King character would do. Oh, Martin Toast says, now that's a wanging confession. It is. Holy cow. Just admit that you're a perv, dude. Carbon Face says, I thought this was going somewhere with a camera, not those kind of shots. 10-10 for the confession. Now we go to be free and don't do it again. Yes, please don't do that again. And why are you putting this on here with a bunch of teenagers, a site with a bunch of teenagers on it? Don't give them ideas. Dude. Best of Redditor updates for a palate cleanse. Entitled, I forgot to feed my friend's cat, and it starved to death. How much legal trouble am I in? Um, it's originally posted in Am I the Angel? This is my first bro brew. I hope I did great. I hope I do great. No trigger warnings. Okay. Um, the original post was in Am I the Angel? Okay. Titled, I forgot to feed my friend's cat and it starved to death. How much legal trouble am I in? Dated January 9th, 2026. I, 37 male. Okay, you're too old to be forgetting to feed a cat, sir. Was supposed to be looking over after my friend's cat while she's away, but I got totally caught up in work and forgot all about him. Lunch was supposed to be at noon, but I didn't arrive until 12:02, and the poor guy had died of starvation. How long did you not feed the cat? Like just one day? I don't think that's. I tried to revive him with tuna, but he insists he's dead. Am I going to jail? Edit. A massive wang you to whoever doxed me because Winston found the post and is trashing me on Reddit. Oh, they do have a picture of Winston, but I don't know. OOP. Winston feels people aren't taking his plight seriously. The poor guy was going weak from hunger. He could barely scream the song of his people as I opened the can of cat food. Comment or two, straight to jail. OOP says it helps my case, I did give him extra treats, but he wouldn't even look at me. I'm really worried because I'm still on parole after I forgot to say, oh, big yawn. Commenter three, did you at least remember to go, oh, big stretch? OOP, yeah, that's what spared me to the death penalty. Commenter four, did the cat post this? You got to see the cat, I guess. He's cute. He's a cute little. He's not really starved. He's not really starved. He's just burned. He's sad because his owner's gone. I hope he's joking around, clearly. I was worried there because, it's Reddit. um, okay. Did the cat post this? OOP, I can neither confirm nor deny whether this cat's alt account, just in case you should send tuna. Suggestion for Winston was to visit alt legal cat advice. That cannot be a real one. Legal cat advice is a real Reddit thread. It's a real subreddit. Update post January 10th, which is the next day, 2026. Post includes a picture of one of Winston's paws. You got beans, though. There's your beans for the day. If you saw the previous post, you know my mom has gone out of town and has left me with this weird guy who refuses to feed me and won't let me take anything from my own kitchen. I was so hungry, I curled up on my bed and tried to sleep, but when I woke up, I found this guy just staring at my toe beans and smiling. I tried to talk to my mom, but she only FaceTimed me 4 times in the last 24 hours. So she just spent the whole conversation telling me how handsome I am. Reddit, what should I do? I've tried leaving a half a mouse in this guy's shoe and throwing up in protest, but he keeps trying to touch me. Update, he just touched my butt and saying someone has a chonky bum bum. Would I be overreacting if I got myself stuck up in a big tree? Oh, I love this silliness. Commenter one, does your country have CPS, cat paw saviors? You might be able to get a protective order against this chump. OOP, I'll have to look into this. I just can't believe my own mother would abandon me for a whole weekend. It was bad enough when she tried to gaslight me into believing houseplants aren't litter trays, but I never thought she would go this far. Commenter two, info. How big that bum bum? OOP, the vet had the audacity to call me bootylicious despite me clearly being nothing but floof. Commenter three, NTA, this person needs to be in jail for tormenting you like this. OOP, he's a psycho. He even had the audacity to say no when I tried to take my rightful portion of his McDonald's. Post is clear and is unconclusive, as there have been no further updates. We can most likely conclude that Winston has acted some form of creative feline revenge. Aftabal says, Christ, the title made my heart drop. Riskiest post I've ever clicked to read. Pelagia says, I was thinking, for how long did you forget to feed the cat? It must take days for a cat to starve. But okay, 2 minutes would do it. Fun and Geeky says the cat insists it's dead. Here's your food. Too late, I'm deceased. uh, Pink Buttery Mon says, I saw the title and saw no trigger warnings and was like, what do you mean none? I'm so glad it's just a regular cat shenanigans. Much love for Winston. And Elegant Anywhere says, this post took a year off my life. Me too. Storm Dance says, I felt the adrenaline spike. Good Lord. And so extra answers. I love how we all cared more about this cat than yet another. My husband cheated on me. Also doesn't wipe his bum post. Lady Supersized Bitch says, LOL. For me, the anger I felt after seeing the title was very personal. Several years ago, a crappy roommate I had up and abandoned my cat and I had asked her to take care of for 5 days, locking him in the bathroom of my room with no food or water and setting the heater to the apartment on 80. It was May at that point and very, very hot and humid already. She lied about the fact that he was there alone, texting me how he was doing fine and crap when I checked in by text, even though she had straight up left the apartment right after I did. The whole reason she was supposed to be taking care of him was because I was with my grandma, who had had a stroke in a completely different state, and I trusted condition he was in when I got back. If it had not been for the fact that the toilet lid was open, my cat would have died from dehydration. I felt all the homicidal anger from back then rush in with a vengeance at the post title. Yeah, I can understand that reaction for sure. Atumo says, I'm not advocating for murder, but I would understand. Yeah, no jury would convict. No jury would convict. Llama Some Drama says, not a jury in the world would convict them. All right. This from Made Me Smile and says, that's true love. You have to. This boyfriend grew his hair out for almost 4 years to make a wig for his girlfriend with alopecia. That is really sweet. It looks good on her too. She looks cute with, you know, without the. She looks cute even without the wig, to be honest. She's very cute. Hefty Vermicelli says, I think she looks pretty damn cool bald as well. And Tommy Orr says, I think they both look good either way. Reasonable Phil says, the guy looks better with short hair. June Tillman says the pictures make him look like it as if he transitioned. CBIH says, I went to school with a girl with alopecia. I thought she had cancer. So when she was horrible, I just chalked it up to that. Turns out she was just a heinous bald bitch. Financial Hold says, being bald as a child was probably difficult too, even though it wasn't cancer. And Gabraham says, it must be Gabraham, says, still not a valid excuse to be horrible. Right. The Red Skelly says, damn, the woman looks so good with or without her hair. The guy looks good with short hair. All right, that's all I got. I will leave you. I will be back on Tuesday, of course. Let's see if I have some time over the weekend to do that one day we missed. We only have one more day in this month. Did you know that? One more day to post in this month, and that'll be Tuesday. And then we go on to next month. Next month's. And Easter's coming up, like quick, fast. Like quick, fast. When is Easter? Let's find out. I wonder if it'll be on here. Of course, they're not on there. I can't remember if it's on the 3rd, maybe? Easter 2026. on the 5th. So, right around the corner. So, get your eggs in a row. You'll need them. All right, that's all I got. I guess I don't need that one. I will see you on Tuesday, unless I see you before then. I mean, it could happen. Who knows? Husband's in out of town, so he might sleep all day tomorrow. Who knows? All right, because he didn't sleep last night for sure. He just told me that. All right, love you all. Have a good weekend. Behave yourself. Oh, no King's Rally tomorrow. No King's Rallies tomorrow. Go look yours up. Oh, husband feels how the weather is, etc. Because I'm not going out if it's too cold. Because I don't need to get sick again. I'm tired of getting sick. I'm still coughing from the last time, although I'm doing better. All right. Take care. Love you all. Love all my biddies. Bye. Love you. Bye. Bye.